Hello YouTube, it's me, it's Michael B. Thank you so much for checking out today's video, and in today's video, it's Friday. You know what that means? Well, it would usually be the Friday News Blast, but this Friday's video is actually coming about from the lack of news, specifically from one company in the home arcade space, Arcade1Up, and after a very slow year, are they already done? Is the cabs announced everything they're going to put out? Well, we're going to talk about it right after this. So that's right, guys. In today's video, we're going to be taking one more look at Arcade1Up in 2024. We're going to take a look at the cabs they announced and ask the question, is this it? And what does that mean for the company? But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much, everybody, for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate the support. If this is your first time to the channel and you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. Click the bell for notification. All that YouTube jazz. So guys, with last week's announcement of the Pac-Man PLus Deluxe limited edition cabinet, we're all left wondering, is this it for Arcade1Up in 2024? And if so, what a lackluster year it's been, right? I mean, this has been one of the slowest years for Arcade1Up in recorded history, since most of us have been enjoying this hobby and Arcade1Up's recreation arcade cabinets, toy cabinets, whatever you want to call them, for the home since 2018. We, of course, started off the year with the very eyebrow-raising X-Men 97 tie-in, where the cabinet doesn't actually have X-Men the arcade game, but yet it's our first deluxe version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So this was met with, I don't know, a little bit of varying excitement, because people did look at it when it initially came out. It was $4.99, and the previous Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet sold at $5.99. So while this one is so far removed from any kind of arcade recreation, not that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 did a great job, it was going to be $100 cheaper and in the deluxe form factor. So some people were pretty happy with that. They missed out on the original run for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It did have kind of a limited run, so this was an opportunity to pick this cabinet up, be able to play Arcade1Up's version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at a cheaper price point. That, of course, was immediately followed up by the Golden Tee 3D Deluxe. Basically, they took the XL cabinet and turned it into a deluxe for people to enjoy at home. I know this was pretty positively received by the people who are 3/4 scale collectors only, never wanted to venture into the world of XL, so they were getting that cab that we had all enjoyed for so long, finally in a form factor that met their arcade needs. But at the same time, we were all kind of laughing because this was the year of Golden Tee. We knew that possibly an XL Golden Tee cabinet was coming to Costco, which turned out to be true. We'll talk about that later. And we had, at the time, thought that New Wave Toys were coming out with a large-scale Golden Tee, which turned out to be a Replicade with a GRS control panel. Then after that, we had a bit of a lull. There wasn't really a lot going on. Questions were raised about rumors about Arcade1Up having some kind of monumental bill payment they were going to have to make. We didn't know if they were going to be releasing anything else. That is, until they released something that would divide the community, would make longtime fans and collectors like myself pretty unhappy and questioning the direction of the company. That cabinet, of course, would be the NBA Jam Deluxe 2-player Slim Cady Edition, and while it was arcade accurate in the colors, the looks, there was a 2-player version of NBA Jam in the arcade, they made it out of a casino-cade. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I was pretty frustrated when I seen this. I was not a fan of the casino-cade. I assumed it was just a party-cade with a base. And then when I saw this, it raised a lot of questions for me. I didn't understand what the whole idea or concept was of making it smaller with the casino-cade base. At the time, there was still rumors of a lawsuit with ThinkUp, which may prevent Arcade1Up from using the original design. Nobody knows, that's just speculation, but it seemed like they moved to this cabinet that had less depth to it, and I don't understand what they think they were saving anybody. Definitely, the 2-player control panel was something people were looking forward to. People thought the 4 players took up too much room. They couldn't fit enough arcades in their space. But I don't remember anybody saying like, oh wow, these arcades are way too deep. I'm having a lot of problems with the depth. I don't know why they did this, but it raised concerns in my mind about the future of Arcade1Up going forward. I already had problems with Arcade1Up with the depth of their cabinets being so narrow. We always got incorrect art on the sides because they couldn't replicate the width of a real arcade cabinet. Remember, real arcade cabinets have big giant CRTs in them. There's a reason they were so deep. But with the Arcade1Ups, they don't have that issue. They can make them a little bit more narrow, but it does mess up the art because it has to be in the correct aspect ratio. So that's why Pac-Man doesn't look exactly like Pac-Man, and that's why so much art is cut off other cabinets. So at this point, we were questioning, is Arcade1Up moving all their cabinets to the slim line? Nobody knew. It was a concern that a lot of us had, and people like me were saying, I'm just not going to buy these if they're slim. That's fine. I'm kind of done with that. But then we got some very exciting news. We were getting new products coming to Costco. First up, of course, was that XL Golden Tee that I told y'all was coming, but it was going to be a little bit different. Originally, I had heard that it was going to be half a Golden Tee cab and the other half was going to be Atari. I don't know how, but that seems to have fallen through, and they went with a half and half Golden Tee Midway cab. They called it the Arcade Classics. A lot of people called this a Frankenstein cab. I don't think it looks as bad as it could have looked. I don't think it looks that great either. It's basically a giant multicade cab. In fact, there have been other old multicades that have sold completely that looks like this. A lot of people like it. They like being able to play Sinister and Gorf on a home arcade cab for the first time outside of the cocktail tables and a partycade. Other people are pretty happy with being able to play some of these Midway games on a 19-inch screen. Me personally, this was a disappointment for me. I mean, we only get one XL a year, and it's, locked behind this Costco exclusivity that never comes to Canada. So after waiting a full year since Pac-Man XL, and for people that want to collect XL cabs, seeing this when you already have a Golden Tee, kind of a disappointment. Then honestly, in what may be the bright spot of the year, sad enough to say, they also released what I thought was going to be very strange, the Miss Pac-Man Galaga pub table. We had got advance notice they were doing this. A lot of people wrongly assumed they were making a Miss Pac-Man XL, which I would have much rather preferred. But we did get this neat little pub table, very different than the original Pong pub table. It actually has control panels going down, had those cool cup devices. I don't know if I would have necessarily picked up this if I had the option, but it's probably one of the neater products they put out this past year. And then much like last year's Casino-cade, they came out with a complimentary product for the home arcade, but this time, this one was really cool, especially for the kids. Arcade1Up was releasing their very own claw machine, and they got just a world-class looking model to, do the advertisement on this. So good job, Arcade1Up, one of their best advertisements this past year. So yeah, this is my pick for the one product that Arcade1Up announced this year where I was like, yeah, I really want to get this. Obviously, my daughter is a claw machine addict. She has a little toy one downstairs. Every time we go to the rec room, for people in Canada, you would know that it's like a big redemption arcade tied into the movie theaters here. That's all she wants to do. Go play the claw games. Go play these claw redemption games. So this was one I was super excited about. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's coming to Canada, at least this year. We don't know about the future. And this one will be releasing on 11/05/2024. Now, people were pretty excited about this. Again, it's a split where people are upset because it's not a new arcade title being released. Other people are like, that's friggin' cool. I can't wait to get it. But of course, Cool Toy put out a video. Other people noticed it as well. They brought up the fact that it actually says that there is a, recommended claw load capacity, 200 grams, roughly 7 ounces. So some people are concerned about that. Originally, when I heard that, I was like, oh, they must have put a cheap motor in it. Since then, I was talking to my buddy James Hates Everything. He indicated that it actually has to do with the spring tensors on these. I don't really know. I mean, one thing I'm happy about is this is still a product I really want. The big one from Arcade1Up this past year, I actually want to add to my arcade, mainly for my kids. And because it's not available in Canada, I'll get to take my time, let other people test it out, watch their reviews, before I decide whether or not I'm going to grab a claw machine for myself. So last but not least is the cabinet we started off talking about, the Pac-Man PLus Deluxe Limited Edition. Is it going to be the last one they put out this year? I don't know, but most fans are pretty disappointed. After all, it's yet another Pac-Man Arcade1Up is putting out into the community. So anyways, guys, we've got a Pac-Man PLus Limited Edition. So I think this is, they have a, license with Namco. They have to release a Pac-Man every year. If you look through all the titles they released this year, I think it was more so keeping licensees happy so they can maintain the license. Like, they've got a Capcom and Marvel game. They've got a Golden Tee game, too, in fact. They've got a Midway game with that Golden Tee tie-in. They've got a Miss Pac-Man out. They've got a Pac-Man out. They got an NBA Jam. That seems to be their main stuff that they're going to release over and over and over and over again. And speaking of over and over and over and over again, we've got our 23rd Pac-Man cabinet. Is it a bad thing? No, I'm sure some people will come across this, have an impulse buy. Pac-Man is a great arcade cabinet to own. It's probably one of my favorites I've got from Arcade1Up. I'm not going to lie. It's just that it's been done so many times. People are tired of it, but it's one that keeps selling for them. It's a money maker. So we're getting another Pac-Man. It's in that cool Pac-Man PLus Cabaret type cabinet that came out a couple of years ago. It's not for me. I mean, I already have a Pac-Man XL. I literally never need to buy another Pac-Man cab again. They're not going to top that one. But if you don't already own a Pac-Man for some reason, this is an interesting one to get. But I'm going to be honest, I would rather just a plain Pac-Man. I would rather they just did a Pac-Man in Cabaret Pac-Man if they were going to do something. But, kudos to them for trying something different, I guess. But see, here's where it gets a little bit fuzzy, because is this it for Arcade1Up now for the year? I mean, we all know the way retail companies work. In order to get your products out to the community, especially for Christmas, you have to get them out early September, October, or at least announce them, get them over in the boats. We know about these port strikes that are going on now. It's going to be delayed stuff. It's a pretty fair assessment to say, that's it. That's the entire lineup from Arcade1Up this year. I know there's, some partycades that went to Costco as well, and some countercades. I don't really care about that. I don't care about their desk shit. I'm looking for the larger scale arcades, and seeing that, it's a little disappointing. There's no new titles. Nothing they really came out with is all that interesting, other than the claw. The claw is like the only hope. So it's kind of a down year. Now, I'm not trying to kick Arcade1Up while they're down. We know what's going on with the company. They just did a huge turnover in staff last year, letting go familiar names from the company like John D. and then their CEO, Scott Bacharach. This year, they continued the cuts. David McIntosh is no longer with the company. We've heard all these rumors out there about them having a big debt repayment due at some time. We saw the press release go out from Arcade1Up saying they were going to borrow against their accounts receivable because they needed cash flow. So I'm not trying to shit on them for doing what they've done in the past year to operate. I'm just pointing out that it's a little bit of a blah year. And unless there's some kind of big surprise that nobody knows about, it looks like everything we've got so far is it for Arcade1Up for 2024. It's done. So, that is a bit of a bummer for those of us looking for new products, exciting products to add to our home arcade. So where does that leave us? Well, the hope now turns to CES, as rumors have been leading to Arcade1Up having a presence yet again at this year's CES. I don't think that it'll be the huge presence they had years ago. Here's a video that we're all pretty familiar with. Retro Ralph touring the Arcade1Up booth at CES a couple years ago. There's the fabled Golden Tee Silver Strike bowling cab that had to be taken off the floor as it wasn't supposed to be out, but long gone are those days. I don't think they'll have this kind of presence at CES, but expect them to announce some new products, new-ish products at CES this year, and hopefully it's not just another, just another lineup of rehashes. Hopefully we get some new products. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of this year's lineup from Arcade1Up? Did they do enough for you to be excited? Keep the hope alive about the company. Are you relatively disappointed with what they put out? And also let me know, do you think I'm crazy and they're not done? There's still one more in the chamber, one big surprise coming, something pretty exciting. Me personally, I think all hope lies with the claw machine for Arcade1Up in 2024. Help us, claw machine. You're our only hope. This is the only product I think we're going to get that's even relatively interesting and cool. But that's just me. Anyways, guys, once again, thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. I'll talk to you next time.